Hi, Mark Reedy here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the TATEMS screen bigger. So we have a couple of options. We can use the Windows Zoom feature, and we can also use the Resizer option underneath Preferences. So let me kind of go over how this works. And first of all, we're looking at here a 4K screen at 100%. So it's 3840 by 2160 display resolution. And I'm going to go ahead and start TATEMS. And we have the resizer turned on here. All right. And so we can see how much it grows. The screen grows in this case. If I go over here to Tools and Preferences, you can see we have that checked. Now, if I uncheck that and then exit back out of here, and then restart TATEMS again, we can see how much smaller the screen is in comparison to what it was before. So now I'm going to go ahead and increase the zoom feature in Windows. And the thing about doing the increase of the zoom feature here, the scale and layout at 100% right now. Now, if I increase this to say 150%, you'll see that everything grows. All your icons grows, everything on the screen grows here. But TATEMS doesn't necessarily grow yet. See, it looks about the same size up in the far left-hand corner there. But so what we have to do is we actually have to restart Windows after changing that zoom feature. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now Windows has been restarted, and we're going to go ahead and launch TATEMS again. We're still at 150% scaling. And for some reason, it didn't increase. Okay, so that's what it looks like at 150%. And let's try bumping that up to, say, 200%. All right, we'll do that, and then we're going to restart and see how large it gets. Okay, so here we are at 200%, and we're going to open up TATEMS. You can see how much larger it is now. So that just gives you an idea of what you can achieve just using the zoom feature inside of the display settings in Windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to the display settings and change this back to 100%. And we're going to restart. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start it up again at 100%. And yeah, that is way, way smaller. So I'm going to go up here to Tools and then Preferences. And we're going to choose Resize for higher resolution. And I can actually resize this now by going up here to Manage Display Resolution Profiles and then clicking on Edit and Test. And you can see here that we have a screen with showing me the actual current resolution of Windows. So that's the profile we're looking at. So it's 3840 by 2160 at 100%. So I'm going to click on Edit and Test. And if I click on Test here, it's going to reload. And you saw that where it crashed there, and that's one issue you have to deal with sometimes with this resizing feature. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that back up. It's been since I checked the box, it should still be in a resize. No, it's not. Okay, so let's try that again. So now it just lets us know what we're looking at as far as the width factor and the height factor. So it's at 68% of or 68% on the width and 68% on the height of, of the potential amount of upsizing we can do. So I'm going to click OK there, and you can see here that the final scaling factors here, it says 2.04 by 1.44. I click on that in the background. So that's about as big as we can get it when the zoom setting is set to 100%. Let me show you what happens if I try to increase the width factor here past this 0.681. It'll actually mess up the whole form. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to, we'll just go to 0.70, and we're going to click on test. And you can see here how it messed up basically the form, so it doesn't really work properly anymore. So I'm going to bring that back down, because what happens is the scaling, uh, uh, these controls that are inside of the program inside Microsoft Access in this case can only scale up so large. So being at 100%, it's actually by going 70% of the total upsizing amount we can do, it will basically break the form. So I'm going to come back here and change that back to 6.681. So you can see how to fix this if you're ever playing around with this resolution profile settings. You can see how to fix that by just lowering the number here, usually on the width factor. So I'm going to click test there again. And so that fixed it, and then we're back to where it needs to be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that, close that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of TATEMS. And I'm going to bring this display setting, the scaling, to 175%, which is what I prefer on this 4K display. It's just easier for me to read and look at. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that, and then I'm going to go ahead and restart Windows again. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and restart TATEMS. I've restarted the computer. We are at 175% in Windows display settings. And now you can see how much larger it is, the scaling. So well, let's go in here to the preferences here and into the manage display resolutions. And always just selects the current display you're looking at. You can see here we're at 3840 by 2160. The DPI scale is a 1.75, which is 175%. And then my factors we're at 0.67% of that and 0.58% of that. So it scales it up. Okay. And then if you had a resolution that's not already included in this list, like if your resolution doesn't automatically show up, it will get added here, but it may not scale the way you think it would. So you can adjust the scaling on your own. If I click here on Edit and Test Profile, we can see here these two check boxes. One of them says Ignores Dynamic Scaling Limits. So if I uncheck that, then these factors here don't have any effect. It's just going to do whatever the programming wants it to do, and it's probably going to be a little smaller than this. If I click on that, I'll just show you, and we click on Test. Oh, I chose the wrong one. Hold on. Let me come back here. I got to select the actual resolution that we're looking at. So I actually accidentally switched down to this one. So I'm going to click back up here, choose the actual resolution that we are in, and then I'm going to click on Edit Profile and Test Profile. So now I can uncheck that, click on Test, and you can see it's much smaller. So it kind of just automatically restricts it so that it doesn't become overblown and break the form. So you can do that, and then if I click on that ignores dynamic scaling limits, it'll actually follow the limits that I put inside of here. So I'm going to click on test, and now we can see that it's much larger. Now, if I wanted to maybe make this a little bit taller so that it goes down to the bottom, I would choose the height factor here and maybe go to like 60, choose test, and then click on that. You can see it's a little bit lower. If I go to say 62 point, so it's 0.62, click on test, and then choose a piece of equipment, and see now it's all the way to the bottom. Okay, and then the other checkbox here actually ignores resizing for this profile only. So if we check that, then it's not going to resize even if you have the checkbox checked for resizing, because it's maybe too large of a profile, maybe a too large of a high of a resolution. Like if we go to 8K or 12K or whatever super high resolutions, it may not be able to handle it. So you can choose this to ignore it altogether. And so if I choose that, it's just going to probably put it back to normal. And so you can see it's just the normal 175%. Uncheck that, and then click test. And now we're back to the full size, the full height and the width that I've selected. All right, hopefully that makes sense to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.